Rallying patriots worldwide.
I'm exhausted now.
Of human liberty. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
I apologize for subjecting you to 30 minutes of me yelling at Keith Olbermann. He's so fake. He's so phony. He's so full of garbage. And then I look at the horrible establishment trying to stall our economy. And if we don't get it going, we're in so much trouble. All the economists admit. And then they're rooting against our own economy. And they're just so bad. It's like, how do we get such a group of bad people in both parties in control of this country? We got a psychiatrist here that's worked in the government for decades and knows this. I mean, I know you got a lot to cover on the economy and other stuff in closing, Dr. Pachenik, stpachenik.com, but just humor me for a minute. Because I'm not billing that we're the good guys either. I'm not perfect, but I'm not out to get the country. What is wrong with these people?
What's wrong is the fact that they're irrelevant, and I've said it for a long time. They are beginning to understand that they're totally irrelevant. The New York Times, which is owned by a drug lord, as you and I know, the Washington Post by Bezos, basically you don't need any of those people anymore. You anticipated, along with others, that we would be on the internet. What happened is you had what we call first advantage. And the minute you got out there, the people who had no idea what was going on, they began to realize 10, 15 years later, oh my God, this guy Alex Jones has really understood the new communication pattern, which is about binary numbers, 1 and 0. But with all the think tanks that are in Washington, the Brookings, the Heritage, or the this foundation or that foundation, they're all worthless. They're basically nursing homes for people who have no jobs. So you have Washington, one huge nursing home for millions of people who are not effective. We have top secret clearance for 1.5 million people in counterterrorism. I don't know what they do. They don't do anything. I don't even get paid for what I do, and I'm more than happy to help our intelligence community. Yet our intelligence community is so bloated that you need somebody to clean it out. Now, of course, Maxine, you made me laugh, but it's not, that's Nico. It's not only her that's in there, there's a bunch of Republicans too. Basically, when you go to Congress, I've treated congressmen and senators, they don't really do anything. When you ask them, what have you done in a day? They don't know. It's all process. Well, we don't need process anymore in the 21st century. So we get rid of the people who need the process to live. Trump does not need process. You do not need process. I do not need process. The reason why Trump doesn't need process is because he fires and hires in seconds. But he builds an asset, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a building, whether it's a golf club, or whether it's the economy in the Americas, he's building an asset. So that's what they're not used to. You have Nancy Pelosi, who should be in a nursing home. Nico, stop that. I know what he's doing. I can't help it because these are the antiquated people. You're talking about 79-year-old
antiquated. She keeps thinking that George Bush is still in office, and then Maxine Waters thinks Putin invaded Korea. I mean, they're nuts.
That's the absurdity. Now, from my point of view and from your point of view, you keep on doing what you're doing. They're self-destructing. What you're watching is the harakiri of literally the Democratic Party, of Congress, and of the Senate. We don't need them. Trump realizes with executive orders we can move this whole country forward. And at the same time, Trump had delegitimized Obama, who came out of nowhere, has no history, accomplished absolutely nothing.
So you think they're going to be unsuccessful bringing Trump down?
I'm sorry?
So you think right now they're going to be unsuccessful bringing Trump down?
Totally unsuccessful. There's not going to be a turnaround on Trump. He can do what he wants. Basically, I would advise him to get rid of the Jared Kushners and the Goldman Sachs boys, but get rid of the press. He doesn't need all that nonsense. All he has to do is constantly sit down, evaluate the problem, implement a solution, and he will do exceedingly well. The issue he's getting caught into is the process, not the noise that's created by all the liberals and the so-called Republicans. We don't need McCain. We don't need a Lindsey Graham. We don't need any of them. But they want to be relevant. The only relevancy they have is that we have to pay their
That's right. They want to get in the way of the recovery. All right. Thank you, Dr. Pachenik. Phone calls and clips coming up. Stay with us. Thank you, Doc.
In her interview with 60 Minutes, Trump left Comey's future hanging in the balance.
FBI Director James Comey, are you going to ask for his resignation?
I think that I would rather not comment on that yet. I haven't made up my mind.
Huge story that broke just minutes ago, like less than 10 minutes ago. FBI Director James Comey has just been fired by Donald Trump. Wow. Huge Donald Trump fans here tonight.
Do you believe that Jim Comey should resign, Senator Reid?
Of course, yes.
It's classified and we can't tell you anything. All I can tell you is the FBI director has no credibility. That's it.
Well, first of all, let's start again. He was acting in concert and coordination with the House Republicans. End of story.
I'm just saying Director Comey testified this week, and he made it very plain that he broke the FBI rules with respect to the Clinton campaign, and he chose not to break the rules with respect to the Trump campaign, and that was a factor. There are many factors, but I think it will go down as probably the lowest moment in history of the FBI, probably next to the decision of J. Edgar Hoover to wiretap Martin Luther King.
So now we have Comey putting his finger on the scale. And yeah, up until then, people thought great things about him. But this is unprecedented.
I think that Comey acted in an outrageous way during the campaign.
Should he step down?
I think he should take a hard look at what he has done, and I think it would not be a bad thing for the American people if he did step down.
My confidence in the FBI director's ability to lead this agency has been shaken.
And then at least one Democratic lawmaker is calling on Comey to resign.
And Director Comey is supposed to be an investigator who reports to the Justice Department and not somebody who comes out and makes news himself. He's gone too far.
But for the first time, President Obama taking a swipe at his FBI director, James Comey.
There is a norm that, when there are investigations, we don't operate on innuendo. We don't operate on incomplete information. We don't operate on leaks. We operate based on concrete decisions that are made.
It was, when I heard about it, I found it hard to believe that Comey, who I thought had some degree of integrity, would do this.
Earlier this afternoon, President Trump called me and informed me he was firing Director Comey. I told the president, Mr. President, with all due respect, you are making a big mistake.
Wrong. Now, that's only some of the clips. This morning, I saw 3 or 4 more videos that we'd put out, others had put out, that didn't even have the same clips in them. I could fill the whole show, basically, with Democrats doing the most perfect 180 flip-flops I've ever seen. So let's say the Democrats are going this direction. They're going north, saying get rid of Comey. And then as soon as Trump agrees with them, they do a perfect 180 and go the other direction. 180 degrees. They don't do a U-turn, take them a while to get back to it. They didn't start changing their story and saying, well, before we thought this, but now we think that. They just did a perfect bat turn, a 180. Pretty amazing. And now they're acting like that never even happened. I want to open the phones up in the balance of the transmission today before we have in the 4th hour an amazing guest, Roger Stone, obviously, on the night that the new Netflix series Get Me Roger Stone premieres. And I don't watch a lot of television, but I do watch some Netflix because it's got some good series on it. HBO's got a few good series as well. I noticed the series True Detective kind of mirrors the real world. They take real cases and then kind of just change them, change the geography, change the names. But I've now watched parts of both seasons, and it's real cases. And the older I get, the more I realize so much of fiction is where they take reality, sheep dip it so they don't get sued, and just change the names. But police will tell you, and detectives will tell you, devil worship, child molestation is just rampant. And they're constantly getting it shut down. But in the case of Netflix, Roger says he's seen it. He says they made him the villain or they wouldn't have done the piece. But he says overall it's pretty entertaining and a lot of it's accurate. But They say he's this evil guy that constantly lies. I haven't caught Roger Stone in one lie, because the most valuable thing we have is telling the truth. That's the currency I have, is telling the truth. When we make a mistake occasionally, I'll tell you. So I'm going to find out tonight, whenever I guess it goes live at like 8 o'clock Eastern or something. I'm going to sit back and watch the first episode of this supposed, horrible, evil villain, Roger Stone, and the supposed Russian connections and all the rest of the crap. My problem is I literally have gotten to where I don't pay attention to TV cameras. And so I'm kind of dreading it, because one thing they got right in the BuzzFeed story they wrote about me a few weeks ago that was like 90% twisted disinformation and fiction, half of it was just totally made up, was that I am socially oblivious. And it really is true. Like, you think it's good there's no teleprompter? Good that I'm not up here, trying to polish what I say? Yeah, it's good, except I got so mad at Keith Olbermann that I broke 2 bottles of InfoWars Life products. I just broke them when I went to break, because I was so upset with Keith Olbermann. And now I'm totally exhausted. I've got all this work to do today, and I got mad for like 30 minutes. I can get mad for a couple minutes now, okay? But I'm 43, I'm not 20 anymore, and I'll just tell you point blank. I say I let myself get mad. People ask, are you an actor or are you not an actor? I'm the most unfalse person you'll ever meet. I'm the most genuine person you'll ever know. But I try to control myself. So when I get mad, it's real, but I'm in control of it. Except every once in a while, when I'm no longer in control of it, and then I just get so upset, and for whatever reason, I'm so exhausted right now. Oh, God, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I'm serious, I just can't stand these people. They are such liars. They're such scum. They're out to get this country. And it's so obvious we should be able to deal with them. And if anything, not letting myself get as mad as I really want to is probably where I'm acting. Because the acting is that I'm holding back, saying what I really think about people like him. Excuse me. I just start thinking about these people and what, how they're out to get us, how they think they're better than us. And I just think about what trash they are, what scummy families they come from, how dishonest they are, how twisted they are, how they want to hurt good people. And they make me absolutely enraged and sick to my stomach, because they're a pack of scum. And they bully a lot of well-meaning people into following their ideology of modern leftist garbage by peer pressure. Most liberals are not bad people. They really believe the lies of people like Keith Olbermann and Stephen Colbert and Bill Maher. And those guys are preying on their viewers, and everything's scripted, and they know full well what they're doing. And I just think my lucky stars, I'm not one of them. I got a bunch of clips I want to play, but the toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. You know, our reporters, our writers, like Kit Daniels and Don Salazar and everybody else, Carol Thalen, you name it, they're just doing such a great job. Paul Watson, Steve Watson, and I can't list everybody. But Kit is so prolific. He writes like 5 articles a day. He's just on fire. And I feel guilty all the time. Like, I'm not giving justice to this great crew and these great people. And then they all like me. But sometimes they get to watch me act like a monkey. But you know what? At least I am like a monkey. At least I do care. At least I'm not polished and fake. At least I really do feel this way. Because those creepazoids like Bill Maher, they know exactly what they're doing. And I want to see them pay. I want to see them brought to justice. I want to see them and all their corruption, because they're so dumb. They're so stupid. They read off teleprompters. They've got all these writers, and they just act with their body language like they're confident, and they know what they're talking about, and what they are is seedy dirtbags. They all hate me because they know I see them. But look at this story about Kit Daniels. Hungary electrifies border wall in defiance of EU migrant quota. Hungary is the front line with the Muslims out of Turkey just pouring in by the millions and then raping, killing, stealing, because the Muslims are very proud, especially the ones coming out of these third world Muslim countries. They're almost all men. They feel really arrogant, like they deserve everything, and Christians and the West need to fall. And so they're just strutting around like peacocks. You know, Trump doesn't like the new digital systems to launch aircraft because they don't work. They don't work for 10 years. So they call him a troglodyte.
I got a shotgun, a rifle, and a...
The problem is, if you're too redundant on systems, hackers can take down your whole platform. So you need integrated systems that have old-fashioned, integrated with new technology so you have overlap. And that's what all the real smart futurists and technology experts have been saying for 50 years, and we haven't listened. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got some of the biggest breaking news in the last 30 minutes. DrudgeReport.com is doing a great job of reporting on it. So are we here at Infowars.com. Cyber attacks in at least 12 nations, now it's spread, said to use leaked NSA hacking tool. Remember what was in the Vault 7 information? That the CIA was posing as Russians and hacking into U.S. government facilities to blame the Russians? Now, it turns out the Chinese are really doing it. They're more of a cyber threat than the United States. But the people that have hijacked our government are false flagging so that they can get more power over the cyber control of the country. Let's get Steve Pachinik back on right now. I know he just left, but he's an expert on cyber hacking, wrote NetForce with Tom Clancy, worked with the CIA and other agencies on predicting a lot of this. This is in the New York Times. Cyber attacks in 12 nations said to use leaks NSA hacking tool. If you can't do it, I understand, but let's just get somebody on about this. An extensive cyber attack struck computers across a wide swath of Europe and Asia Friday and strained the public health system in Britain, where doctors were blocked from patient files and emergency rooms were forced to divert patients. The attack involved ransomware, a kind of malware that encrypts data and locks out the user. According to security experts, it exploited a vulnerability that was discovered and developed by the National Security Agency. The hacking tool was leaked by a group of calling itself shadow brokers, which has been dumping stolen NSA hacking tools on online beginning last year. Microsoft rolled out a patch for the vulnerability last March, but hackers took advantage of the fact that the vulnerable targets, particularly hospitals, had yet to update their systems. And they attacked hospitals. You know, I think probably behind this, probably Turkey. Turkey is involved in some of the dirtiest stuff out there. Who knows? Probably globalist intelligence agencies. I don't know. The malware was circulated by email. Targets were sent out encrypted, compressed file that once loaded allowed the ransomware to infiltrate its targets. Reuters reports the employees of Britain's National Health Service were warned about the ransomware threat earlier on Friday, but of course bureaucrats did nothing. Of course, you can also say it's doing them a favor, making them get ready to deal with these type of threats because they're a bunch of lazy people in their own world with their horrible health care in the UK. Worst healthcare in the world, in many cases, is socialist countries like Cuba. Ransomware infections reported worldwide, BBC News. Cyber attack plunges NHS into chaos as computers shut down across the country. NHS cyber attack spreads worldwide. Detroit school told to hold Muslim girls only prom. I'm going to get to that coming up. I was going to get into the vice president coming out and saying he's going to defend Christians and that there's a genocide of Christians going on. That is certainly important. We got a bunch of callers. I'll go to Dennis. I'll go to Jesse. I'll go to Matthew. I'll go to Dean. I'll go to Sean. And I'd also like to ask folks if they're computer programmers or hacking experts or security experts, cybersecurity experts, if you can get in, tell us what you think about this. 800-259-9231. I know most hackers are white hat. I've had hackers before call up and say, there's a problem here. Let me show you. I'll turn your website off in 2 minutes. They turn it off. Or let me show you there's a problem here. There's a problem. And they just help us. Never ask for money. I've demanded to pay them before because most people are good people. But there are some really, really nasty folks out there. And so many times, I'm not lionizing Russia, but Russia gets blamed for cyber attacks and being the main pushers of it. And it's in the info, the Vault 7 information that they're framing Russia. And that shows that that's one of the main targets for criminal elements of our government to frame Russia to create this narrative I remember Kurt Demo, like 8 years ago or something, wrote an article where the head of cybersecurity at the time, they were just setting it up, admitted that they'd run false flags to get Congress's attention. Of course, the CIA got caught spying on members of the Congress. So the claim that President Trump's not being spied on by Comey is just laughable. They caught him. They admitted they did it. It happened. All right, we'll be right back. Don't forget, we've got a new limited edition 1,000-run big color poster by a well-known artist with Donald Trump, myself, Paul Watson, Pepe the Frog, and other politically incorrect things, Roger Stone. And it's 1776, and it's a great collector's item. Infowarsstore.com. It'll be sold out probably in a day. Or 888-253-3139. And your purchase helps make this operation be funded. So thank you. We wouldn't be here without you.
We're on the march.
All right, we're going to your phone calls here in just a moment. I'm going to put on screen for TV viewers, I'll describe it for radio listeners, a global graph that shows where the current cyber attacks are taking place and places that have already been hit, also where there's active computers now being attacked. We'll put that on screen for folks. We'll also put it behind us here for TV viewers. But there you have it. That's the cyber threat real-time map. That's Kaspersky that puts out that map tied into the big cybersecurity centers all over the world. And you can see new attacks that are happening reportedly in the purple. You can follow each attack through into what's being hit and the ISPs as it goes through the cyber terrain. You can see the new attacks as they're taking place. You can see the older attacks. It's amazing what technology we've got to track all this, but it appears the biggest area being attacked currently in a cyber war is in Western Europe and in the UK, and obviously that's all admitted. But there's also attacks spreading out from there across the planet as the software loaded on the computers, as the viruses begin to activate with the malware. Kaspersky, Kaspersky.com is the site where you can see that. And again, we'll put it up behind us on screen for TV viewers. Right now, I'm going to go to Cindy, Jesse, Matthew, Dean, Sean, and others. As soon as you hear one caller hang up, that's your chance to call in. I'd love to hear from you here on this Friday edition, 800-259-9231. I told my wife today, be ready for me to work a bunch this weekend, because as you can say, I felt a disturbance in the force. And I don't mean that literally, but almost. I could just feel the energy in the country and see what's happening with Trump, and could tell that a lot of stuff was about to kick off. So look for some live broadcasts this weekend. I'll definitely be back this Sunday, obviously, 4 to 6 p.m. Central, but look for a lot more throughout the weekend at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com as all of this basically continues to unfold. I want to take some of your calls, and then I'm going to get to some amazing video of the Vice President Pence, where he lays out in a major conservative conference put on by Billy Graham's son, Franklin Graham, the threat. And let me tell you, it's refreshing. When I was watching Fox News this morning and Franklin Graham came on, I said, watch, he won't say radical Islam, and they won't say that all these Christians getting killed are mainly by Muslims. And sure enough, he did say it. And Christians are the #1 persecuted group. Christians are being targeted. And whether it's pandering or not by Pence and Trump, I don't care. They're doing something about it. And we need to raise the alarm and get through this political correctness. And if they launch wars that are to take out non-radical Muslim countries, then I'll be against Trump. But right now, he was against the Iraq war. He's against the Syria war. He wants to take out the radical Muslims that have invaded. That's good, because Obama and the globalists started that war. So that's why I'm supporting eradicating him. I do not support the reports that McMaster's, which we first broke with Cernovich, where he wants to have 150,000 troops and have a ground war and remove Assad and ISIS. Assad didn't start the war. Assad was democratizing. They used the openness of his country to do that. But enough on that subject. That clip's coming up. I want to commend Vice President Pence. Trump was delivering like 99% until about day 70. Then he started going back about 20% on what he said he'd do. Now he's made a big turn this week, right back into what he said he would do. And I've been told by 4 sources in the White House that Trump's taking the gloves off and is going to basically go on a rampage now. Because, oh, by the way, have they tweeted it out yet? Because I've noticed that Trump likes to do this thing where he writes letters with a hidden message in the first line. The founders like to do that, too. It shows your skill in language, and it tells Comey, I win. So I saw that during a break earlier, like the 20 after break. I didn't have time to tweet it myself. I asked the guys to tweet it and asked for Don to post on Infowars.com. Can we pull up Real Alex Jones real quick before we go to calls? Because I do believe they put that out. But regardless, I want to show people that and tweet it out at Real Alex Jones. I mean, I do a lot of my own tweeting, but also the crew tweets out some of their own stories here. Let's scroll down and see. No, I don't guess that's been tweeted out yet. So we'll try to get that tweeted out. Or maybe I'll just... There it is. They did tweet it out. Wow. Dear Comey. And then you look at the first line, and then you look at the 6th line down there. Dear Director Comey, I win. He also did that in an IRS letter, so it's pretty funny. Donald Trump is just something else. And again, he writes his own letters. I mean, the guy is just amazing. He's definitely a character, folks. You want somebody that's his own man? You want somebody that's actually president? Doesn't mean he's going to be perfect. We didn't, hire a pastor. We hired a bull in a china cabinet, and boy, he's got all the scum angry. All right, Cindy, Jesse, Matthew, Dean, Sean. Let's talk to folks in Wyoming first. Let's talk to Sean. Sean, thanks for calling today. You're on the air worldwide.
Thank you, Alex. I haven't talked with you in a little while. I've been fighting a constitutional issue that I'm preparing for the courts, but I'm the fellow who was there with Reagan when he was the subterfuge that went on and when he was...
That's right. You haven't called in 4 or 5 years, and I talked to folks that know you, and you even recommended some guests that were there that we had on. I even talked to Phyllis Schlafly. She was aware of the work you did. So you were there when they made him take George Herbert Walker Bush. You were there when they made him compromise.
That's right, compromise. They gave me the press release that I took from the Detroit Plaza Hotel the following day, which was Thursday morning, over to the 4 Bush boys in a suite at the Pontchartrain across Jefferson Avenue, and then they told me not to look in the file, and I looked in the file anyways, and it was the history of George Herbert Walker Bush. And oddly enough, in Cody, Wyoming, in 1988, I cracked open the book, Anthony Sutton's book, The Secret Establishment, the America's Secret Establishment, the Illuminati, and it had a history on one page of George Herbert Walker's previous his history with Zapata Oil and so forth. And I said to myself, my God, I saw this someplace before, and it was in that file I took across to the Bush boys. But listen, my friend, I've been very concerned, as you have, about Trump possibly being compromised. But the key here is that I want to make is you and Roger Stone, because I've talked with Roger Stone and myself, we cut our teeth on the Patriot movement decades ago as fervent anti-communists. So we can recognize a traitor like Keith Olbermann before us, and they're all over. I have a quote. I just want to finish with a quote from MacArthur when I was in the 9th grade, and I know that you would appreciate this. When I was in the 9th grade, I memorized MacArthur's final address to Congress verbatim, and also some other quotes, and they're applicable to now because we really are...
Old soldiers never die.
Country, it just hasn't turned hot yet. I beg to differ with our friend Dr. Pachenik. He's always so optimistic, but I'm not always so optimistic.
No, I hear you. Well, we make your point, but since you say it, I mean, he said, old soldiers never die, they just fade away. That was his famous address.
Absolutely, but there's also a tremendous quote that I had other quotes that is by MacArthur that is apropos today, and it is this: the history of failure in war can be summed up in 2 words: too late. Too late in comprehending the deadly purpose of a potential enemy. Too late in recognizing the mortal danger. Too late in preparedness. Too late in uniting all possible forces for resistance, and too late in standing with one's friends.
That's right, and I hope we're not too late. That's why I hope every man, woman, and child, no matter what color you are, gets involved in the fight for free market. God bless you. I appreciate your call. One of the greatest victories the dirtbag Democrats have had is tricking the Republicans in 1962 to become racist. The Republican Party had been the anti-racism party since its founding. It had been the Christian party, and my family was in the South, and the North did horrible atrocities, but the South got tricked into that war by British intelligence folks, and it was wrong to ever have the war, and Andrew Jackson was right to stop it 25 years earlier. And he was a big Southerner, and the South just got suckered into that like a bunch of idiots by British intelligence, not by the North. And it was just a horrible war of Americans killing Americans. Robert E. Lee was the head of the Northern Army before that. They tried to make him the head of that, and he said no. That's why it's so dumb all these idiot leftists want to pull down Robert E. Lee statues. He was the most respected man in the North for the next 30 years. He was the model of being an honorable man. He didn't want that war. But once they attacked the South, he had to. But I don't want to digress into a history lesson. I don't know why I started getting off of the Civil War whenever he was bringing up wars and all the rest of it. But the bottom line is they're trying to cause a new civil war in this country. And we don't need to have one. We don't need to go through all this. And I was talking about the Republicans. The Republicans are the ones that passed the Civil Rights Act. The Republicans had a Christian strategy, and it was working, and the Democrats were about to become a regional party of the South. That's why you always hear that Republicans are about to be a regional party of the South from Democrats, because they know that's what had happened to them by the 60s. So they suddenly completely flipped to like super liberal and put out the wildest stuff, you know, that was politically correct. And suddenly Republicans went, what are you talking about? So they kind of jumped into their Southern strategy in the South to out-racist the Democrats. And so that's why Democrats now have this image of Republicans as the racist, when the Democrats are the KKK, they are the real deal, it's a fact. And so you fast forward to what's currently happening, and you've got the last 6-7 years, the Democrats saying the Tea Party's racist and don't go to it or you'll get beat up if you're black. Now, blacks and Hispanics started going and found out how they were totally embraced by everybody and how people just want free market to be Christians and have a sovereign nation. So Trump's big victory is he broke that. People know Trump's not racist, and they know the Tea Party isn't now. But for 8 years or so, we heard those lies. But listen, I don't care what color you are. Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, Eastern Europe. I don't care whether it's white people, black people, whoever it is running things. Socialism is a hell. It always falls apart. It always picks winners and losers. And it just destroys productivity. It destroys the future. Now, we don't have even a perfect free market. We've got major crony corruption, socialism in many areas. America's got problems. But free market is what you want to give your kids, where you got hundreds of schools to choose from, and hundreds of toothbrushes to choose from, and hundreds of phones to choose from, and hundreds of hospitals to choose from, and hundreds of stores to buy clothes from, and hundreds of places to get your food from, and hundreds of parks to go to. And it's just there's no comparison. But the elites don't want you to have that. They're always going to be above the law. They're always going to have offshore, places. And I was never a fan of executive orders because a lot of them are unconstitutional. They were being used for globalism. He's using it against them. Why they're so pissed right now. Everything he's doing is just flooding money to the people, flooding jobs, flooding factories, just flooding development, flooding investment, flooding the banking associations, giving money to people. Because Trump knows we're about to go belly up. We are on the knife's edge of going belly up right now. And if Trump doesn't succeed, I just got chills. We're going to go into a worldwide depression. So understand that, ladies and gentlemen, that we're doing better than Europe. We're doing better than China. We're doing better than Latin America right now. We're doing good. And it's not at their expense either. A rising tide raises all ships. We have been screwed over so long. And I'm telling you, I've researched Trump just on the economy, just on Christians, just on TPP, just on one of those things I'd back him. He's not perfect. I'm not in love with him. I don't care he calls me sometimes. That means nothing to me. In fact, it's hurtful when he does stuff that isn't good because then I want to believe in him. But just cold-bloodedly looking at this, you know a man by his enemies. The scum of the earth hate Donald Trump, folks. They call him his own man. They call him crazy because they can't intimidate him. They can't get him to do what they want, and they are scared, and they better be. And I think Zuckerberg and The Rock running as president and vice president, that's the word I got from some politicos. Those two are going to run against Trump. And Dwayne Johnson comes off as very charming. I mean, you can't help but like the guy. He's funny, but I mean, right there, if he runs with Zuckerberg, he's either an idiot or he's bad. And Zuckerberg will turn our recovery around so fast, he calls you a dumb effer. So, folks, you talk to Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and say, do not run with Mark Zuckerberg, because the word is Zuckerberg's already reached out to him. I got that from a Silicon Valley individual, a billionaire, yesterday. I got a call last night right before I went to bed about, yeah, I heard you're talking about that with this and that and The Rock. You know they're talking about those two running as a team? Can you imagine how horrible that is? But a vampire like Zuckerberg needs a well-meaning guy like Dwayne Johnson. Dean in Wisconsin, thanks for holding her on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. This is Dean. I'm a writer in Wisconsin. I sent you my resume, portfolio, everything I sent to Trump. I even got a video of me working for my union. I just want to say I'm ready to fight. Whatever you need, just email me, give me a call. But my question is regarding to purging the system. If Trump's the man I think he is, he's got to eventually take down the curtain to know who our true enemy is and to know the truth. I mean, if he does that, I guarantee you that he'll get 80.
Our enemy is collectivist and gangs and global crony capitalist groups that have been funding communism, fascism, you name it. I mean, there's always groups saying it's Catholics, it's Christians, it's Jews, it's Muslims. And I don't think it's any of those individual groups that are behind the evil. It's evil, corrupt billionaires that manipulate things and play people off against each other. But Islam itself, under the more orthodox, radical form that the Saudi Arabians are pushing, is the clear and present danger. You got the technocrats and the globalists, and you've got Islam. I see those two as the main enemy. Who do you think the enemy is?
Well, I definitely agree with what you're saying, but I'm saying he has to, like, as far as the Fannie Mae thing, he has to expose that and show that and come on. I'm just saying he has to, you know what I mean? Like, finally, you're right who the enemy is, but he has to go on. I don't know when or what time, but he has to show the people who, you know, the true enemy is.
Well, I totally agree. I mean, Trump had it leaked to Dr. Corsi, and that came from the Trump White House. I'm not going to say who, but high level, about the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. We broke it. Now it's in the news 2 months later. And now Trump's saying that they're not going to take money from the government and that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is solvent. We're not going to give it to Obamacare. That's why they're so pissed off. I mean, he's doing it. He's trying to not drag all the bankers through the mud because then they'll fight to the death. He's trying to just take it away from them and do the right thing. And I think that's what he's now understanding is they're not going to stop. He has to crush them. He has to destroy them. Plus, it's the right thing to do. So, all right, I'm going to do more of your calls right now, more in the next segment, then co-host a little bit with Owen Schroyer coming up. We got our wires crossed with Roger Stone, but he should be back on me tonight during an emergency broadcast, and then Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m., the fourth hour coming up. One of the great producers in there, Matt's mom has some friends, Bob and Terry, so I am signing these pocket constitutions to them right now and thanking them for the support and just saying that Matt does such a wonderful job with the audio clips and production along with Daria in there, and we're very, very thankful to both of them. So I want to thank both Bob and Terry as well for spreading the word about the broadcast, so I'm signing those for those guys. And for whoever orders this one, this will randomly be put into the stack of 1,000. Somebody will get a signed copy of Make America Great Again, this original art by an amazing artist. The details are up on Infowars.com. It's Make America Great Again. There's only 1,000 of these. It's a viral print that's been out there for a while, but no one has ever actually done the print. The image has been there, so there's going to be 1,000 of these, and then that is it. It's available at InfoWarsStore.com, and your purchase funds the operation. So let me go ahead and sign that. And it's $17.76, by the way, for these prints. InfoWarsStore.com. AlexJones.com or 888-253-3139. Have a piece of history right there. How do you know Trump's for real? I'll just look at the actions he's taken. Again, I said if he got 30-40% done the first 4 years, I would say he's a famous president, right up there with George Washington. The fact that he's gotten 30-40% done in 111 days, 112 days, he is redonkulous. And quite frankly, I think they're going to try to kill him. They've been coming after me in ways that are just unprecedented. And, you know, you get the contacts from the people. They just say, just stop what you're doing, or we're going to hit you again. And I just go, do it. Let's go. It's not about being macho. It's about somebody has to not be a coward and roll over these people. The problem is it gives me the byproduct of really hating them. Really hating them. To the point of I just pray to God every day I don't hate these people so bad, because it's hurtful to be this hateful. And I'll admit it. I have a lot more love than I have hate, because I got this big thing of love over here for my family and my country and innocent people. And then I hate these people over here. And I just, you know, because I know who they are. I know what makes them tick. And I just know they're enemies of humanity. Let's go ahead. We got Jesse in Virginia. Thanks for holding them. We'll go to Matthew and Cindy and Joe and everybody else. Go ahead, Jesse.
Alex Jones, how's it going, man?
Good, brother.
Good, man. Hey, look, I think it's a perfect time that I'm getting this call, and I want to appreciate the call. And I want to ask you, since everyone's talking about these press briefings and stuff like that, getting rid of them, possibly this and that, I'm sick and tired of seeing these Lester Holt, these John Dickersons, you know, deface the nation, and all these, you know, nobodies that supported Mr. Trump, that has done nothing for Mr. Trump. The number one person, there's a lot of great Republican news media's news sources that are out there, but nobody has ever stood up and took the place of Alex Jones for Donald Trump. Let's be real. I want to see Alex Jones in that chair.
Well, stay there. I'll come back in 70 seconds. Because here's the deal. If I was in establishment media, it would actually hurt us. But I see where you're going. Thank you. So I'm going to tell you a private conversation I had with Trump when we come back about this very issue. Stay with us. Stay there, Jesse.